Welcome everybody. It's Bigger Than Business podcast. Manny Larcher, joined by Derek Grosso, the founder of CYP. How are you doing, Derek?
What's up? I'm doing all right. The weather's treating me well. We're not in Columbus. I'm not in Ohio today. The weather is going to be getting into the high 70s. I am in the Florida, northeast Florida region right now.
Yeah, so this is an interesting episode. We're two Ohio-born, Ohio-bred business
Yep.
owners, both doing business in Columbus for Derek over almost a decade, right now, or
Yeah, almost a decade. Actually, yeah, a decade and a half. I clocked in at 16 years in Columbus just last year in July. The years keep going. In July, it'll be the 17-year anniversary of the founding of CYP Club. But I've been, an entrepreneur, creative, a connector for pretty much all my life. I'm a middle child and I'm a Libra, so I'm always in the middle trying to bring people together.
I love it. And I'm a Scorpio, so I can see how we get along.
Yep.
And congratulations, 16 years.
Yeah, I can't remember.
We're in year 5 for Stopwatch Creative, and
That's a big year, by the way. When you get into those like milestones, 5 years, 10 years, it's amazing because some people don't last, 18 months. They got a really cool idea and then kaput, unfortunately,
yeah,
for some.
and it's kind of like a momentum that ramps up at that time, and it's just consistency, and that's one of the things that I love about what you're doing. I've seen CYP rebrand. I've seen different people come to help. Why don't you talk a little bit about the impact? Because from my perspective, just seeing how you're able to connect people with jobs, really give them a platform to tell their story. Sometimes some of the things that I don't like is that our local media, the Dispatch, certain things. It's very hard to get stories out there. So anytime I see independent publications that are highlighting those, that's why we created Collaborating Elevate, really inspired by things like that. So talk to us a little bit about the impact that you've had in Columbus that you've seen in the last since starting.
Yeah, since 2005. So I'll throw out some numbers. The organization started humble beginnings. I moved to Columbus. I knew one person. He wasn't from Columbus originally either, and just kind of saw an opportunity to connect people and meet people myself for business and for friendships, but also to get to know the city and to give back and to collaborate and elevate, right? And so from those humble beginnings, the organization really springboarded over the number of years into now being over 30,000 members large, just in Central Ohio, with 21 to 45-year-olds connecting the dots. And so we've got all these people, and over the course of 15, 16 years, we've had some ups and we've had some downs, just like any organization. But with the downs, as any entrepreneur will tell you, those are the things where you look at it and you say, okay, where can we learn from that? Where can we get better? Where can we always improve? And to me, also, when you're on the highs, that's also the opportunity where you can get better, because if you're hitting your stride, that's not the time to rest. So for our perspective, impacting the community, we've given over $650,000 in cash to local causes by just hosting events over the years, fundraisers, beer gardens in some of our night markets, mini fundraisers and different opportunities for people to give. But then we've also contributed nearly $2.5 million of economic impact generally every year. I mean, that kind of goes up and down based off of what's going on. So that's job creation. That's us hosting an event at a small business, or us bringing in people to a new venue for one of our events. But at the same time, it's also getting people connected with, apartments and MBA programs and job opportunities. So it's really been cool. And then in addition, Business First, as you mentioned, the media, Business First, recognizes corporate citizen awards each year. So for the last 3 years, we've been on the top 10 list. And I think that this year we were like number 7 or number 8 of all the top 100 companies in Columbus. I think Abercrombie & Fitch was like just above us or just below us in terms of in-kind donations to nonprofits. We gave over $325,000 just in the last 12 months. And part of what we do is fundraise and get people connected, but some of it's also advising and connecting the dots and creating events where we can say, hey, it's easy for nonprofits to connect with our big network, but it's also, for me, I give a lot of my time. People can give time, talent, and treasure, and we try to do a little bit of all three, but our impact continues to grow. And I'll also say, because Manny, you're on not one, but 2 of our leadership teams, and you've been through our Columbus Impact Academy, which is going to be celebrating 5 years, I believe, this spring when we kick off our next class, we have a 15-week curriculum, and we've graduated over 230 people. And this is a program that runs twice a year. There's a tuition, although we have scholarships. We try to bring people together to kind of solve community problems, but also to get to know and establish their sense of place and purpose. And so your help has allowed us to elevate those programs, not just, oh, when we started, it was like, let's do a happy hour, let's connect people. Sure, we'd have 50, 100, 200 people. We're getting events where we have thousands of people, big night markets, and dozens of people in these leadership cohorts. And folks like yourself, and specifically you, Manny, like being a part of it and like supporting us and just being friends. And I remember the first time we talked, which was probably like 4 years ago or so, that we talked on the phone. We never met. And I just remember coming off that conversation. And again, the tip of the hat to you, I was just like, I like this guy. Like, I don't know him. I've heard some good things. I know you said you're like, I've heard some things about you. We needed to talk. And it was just that mentality of collaborating and building people up and building the community. So I want to thank you for that, because that also, that fueled me too at that time. But even now, just a chance to talk with you. So I know I'm going on. I get excited about it. I'm originally from New York, so I talk fast. I'm also Italian, so I'm giving you all the things.
Well,
the middle child of Italian.
I didn't even want to interrupt you. You said so many incredible things. I love when if you're hitting your stride, that's not the time to slow down. And I love that. I love how you said that. And just the Impact Academy, I appreciate all the things you just said. I met so many people. I was about to name drop, but just so many people from just being there. And again, it's really that community. I think, what you're building, it's authentic. It's and in my opinion, there's really nothing like it. So I always tell people, look, CYP, I'm going to give, Neil Collins as well.
Yeah.
New Albany, just that level of programming and putting, that information out there is so helpful, right? I'm 33 years old, right? So literally, I remember seeing the City Pulse and Columbus Young Professionals as like, okay, look, I could do that. Like I could, so it was very motivational. And that education is it's going to pay dividends in what you're doing, so.
And I think that's the way, we want it to be. I think that's the way it should be. Membership in the CYP club has always been free. And one of the reasons why is because we wanted it to be accessible. And so when people join the CYP club, it's for 20, 30, early 40 somethings, whatever level in your career or on your path that you've come join us. You've lived in Columbus your whole life. You just moved here, just graduated from college. You have a new job. You're just looking for those opportunities. But then through that, it's not just about like continuing to, engage with all the things we have, because we do have quite a lot, from sports leagues to social events to networking mixers and fundraisers. But, being able to bring people in from an organization like yours and then connect them with folks and then send them back out to say, okay, cool. Like you found us, we're kind of like a hub. And then we want to send you out to meet and connect with nonprofits and business associations and chambers and groups like Collaborate and Elevate. So, and also just to be aware, because sometimes we've got our blinders. I've heard so many times that people who are part of the CYP club, but just in general, young professionals, right? We're all busy. And so go to work, you come home, go to work, you come home. And people will say something like, I used to be so involved. That used to be, like, why aren't you now? Well, I've got a lot of work and I come home. I don't really know the city well. I don't have the time. Well, maybe we can help you with that. If we can connect you with the right people, maybe they can help you take that to the next level, or at the very least, you'll know what's out there. So that's the way I always like it to be, is like everybody's welcome. You have a sense of belonging. And we always, we strive to make that, because it's not always something that happens like right off the bat when you walk into a room and you feel like, oh, who are these my people?
For
so,
sure.
We want that to be.
And I love it. And, we're both right now in Florida, at 2 different locations in Florida, but
right.
We both love Ohio. We love the people of Ohio. Some of the things that Columbus says, like Test USA, right? There's a documentary that came out. It was very good. And, I said all that to say is because I think with what we're both collectively doing is really kind of building that community and that culture that is really missing in Columbus. From traveling around, I see so many similarities between, Columbus could be a little Atlanta in a way. And I think organizations like what we're doing is connecting, just the community quicker, because I think, that's what we need. I saw a report saying 1 million people could come by 2050. I think that could happen quicker, if anything.
Yeah.
Right. I think if you look at the conditions, cost of living, it's a great place to live. If you like to deal with the snow, it's not a bad place to live, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. Especially today. Yeah. With some flurries and some rain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 24. I saw it. But I just think that's important. I'm very passionate about, really building that community, that culture in Columbus. And then also I'll say too, that's why I said Test City USA, because a lot of the businesses, right, they're headquartered in Columbus, and essentially you have a lot of just business all around the country, really, that can't happen right there from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. Like, as far as what do you think, or from your viewpoint? I'm very interested as far as what are the things that you think Columbus is like maybe missing, or what can we do to kind of speed things up more so?
I think, and this is one of the reasons when we launched the Impact Academy back in 2017 was, I want people to be thinking bigger. I want people to be thinking of others. And so I really want people to be answering the simple question of what if, like what if we had this, or what if we could do that? And there's no reason why we can't dream. But then when you start to put the pieces together, it's like, okay, we need to do this, we need to do this. And again, not to push too hard on this, but it's like, it's all about collaboration. I mean, nobody, and I don't care who they are. There's a lot of amazing people out there. There's some great superstars, athletes, actors, musicians, inventors, like run the gamut, right? But nobody did it on their own. We all have some people to thank, whether it's our parents or mentors or business partners, or just people who inspire us, spouses and kids and all that. So for me, it's something where all the businesses that have come together in the region, and the CYP Club represents about 1,000 of them. We have about 200 or so like business members and sponsors that support us financially, anywhere from like small mom and pops to big companies that are HQ'd in Columbus, in addition to cities like City of Columbus. We work with very closely. They're very supportive. We work with, City of Grandview Heights on a number of initiatives. We work with Chambers of Commerce in Gahanna and in Hilliard. So like, we're really trying to bring people together, because one of the things we don't have is a train, or, we have some great buses, and CODA is a great organization, but we don't have a subway system. We don't have a light rail. We don't have like those things that you kind of expect. And so that's, public transit is a big deal. Obviously there's a lot more to it than just saying, I wish we had, a subway or an L train. But the reality is that without those things, you're getting disconnected from the parts of the city where other people live, or other businesses are, or other restaurants are that you may have never ventured to. And so we get stuck in our bubbles, right? Some of them are suburban bubbles, and some of them are downtown bubbles. And we're like, had this one friend who lived in the short north, and I was living in Grandview. So for those in Central Ohio, they're pretty much like adjacent. But this friend of mine, said to me, I was telling about the Ohio Tap House, or the Ohio Tap Room. John Evans, great guy, entrepreneur. He converted like an old barbershop into a tap room, and he's still doing it. He's kicking ASS in a number of places. So he's a real cool guy. And I was like, hey, you gotta check this place out. And she's like, yeah, I don't really want to go across the river. And I'm like, what river? The Olentangy? What? Over the river? Like, she's talking about like the Mississippi or something. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she was dead ass serious. So it was literally like, she didn't want to leave the short north. And I understand that, because, sometimes I've lived in other parts of the city and you don't want to leave your bubble, but that's kind of the mentality that you need to like break down. I laugh my ass off and I tell that story a lot, because people who get it are like, what are you talking about? Like the Oregon Trail? So,
wow.
But that's part of the mentality. Like we want to stay in our comfort zone, and that's okay. But I like to try to push people out a little bit. And a lot of the organizations that I've partnered with, and we've been very fortunate, we've had a lot of great collaborators, strategic alliances, organizations that have not just given us dollars and places to host our events, but people who've given us advice and have spoken just like you have. And all of our board members, we have about 100 volunteers who are part of our Columbus Leadership Commission, as well as our Impact and Inclusion Advisory Board. And so we really revel in that, and I love it. And the fact of the matter is that those folks are helping just as much as, I've got the vision or I have the ideas. So all that stuff helps, and it's a
No,
community.
for sure. And it takes a team, and I could say you're one of you listen, you take the time to listen to everyone and apply these, these thoughts and listening to the community. So I think that's truly, truly amazing. I know we're kind of getting to the end of it here. You brought up a couple things. I was looking at an article from Share Mobility that Ryan McManus recently came out. He's a transportation founder in Columbus.
Yeah, sure.
And I absolutely, I think that's a huge need in Columbus, and just improving the way people can get around. One of the cool things I love about in Miami right now is they have Brightline, which is located here. So that was like the Virgin Loop, the Hyperloop. It got rebranded to Brightline. And I don't know if you know this, they're going to open up a train this year, and it's going to the time from Miami to Orlando in half. And that's essentially, that's going to be like the test, and really the plan is to apply that around America. So
and there are things like that, autonomous shuttles and circulators. Like I think West Palm has something. I was in Portland, and they just kind of like hop on, hop off, and they're sponsored by different businesses. And obviously that takes a little bit of time, and there's obviously dollars. But like things like that, where it's just like, start a little smaller and kind of move people around, because understandably it's for recreation. I lived in DC for 8 years, and at the time the metro system, I mean, I haven't been there a while, but it was efficient, it was clean, it was easy to get to the zoo or to get to the Capitol or get to wherever you need to be. But at the same time, you also have to deal with that first mile, last mile situation, right? Where people are not necessarily like right off a stop. And so it's like, well, I don't have a car, or maybe they don't have the means to get there. And so part of that is part of the public transit equation as well. But the reality is like, to me, it's like, if people don't see it, they think one of two things: that there's nothing on the other side to get to, because otherwise it's like, go back to that river analogy. It's like, if there's not a bridge over the river, it's like, well, nobody's traversed it, so there must not be something over there worth seeing. Or, the other part of it is like, if it's not there, then it's just probably like somebody figured it out and they figured not to do it. And that's not necessarily the case. So, kind of my sentiment on that, but for what it's worth, right? 2 cents.
No, I think it's just remaining curious. I mean, like, Columbus is filled with hidden gems, incredible food. So I think I saw a recent group that started. It's like the restaurant group, and like they just meet up to have dinner at different spots. Especially with COVID and the pandemic, right? We have a lot of members that are restaurant owners. So I'm gonna give a shout out to Willoughby's Soul Veg. Everyone go check out that vegan spot. But I think the effects of the pandemic have helped. Have hurt every business, especially the food and industry business. So any like events like what you're doing. So I'm just gonna let you know, thank you to everyone, Derek, because you really you listen and you really support the businesses, and just give them that platform. For in many cases for free, right? So a lot of people, again, paying it forward,
it's important.
Just really appreciate what you're doing. So if you happen to come down to the Miami area, please, give me a ring. But
check it out. Yeah, you look like you got you look like you got your finger on the pulse there. So I am definitely going to come and hang out. And our mutual friend, I think, Kevin Lloyd with Mile, Make Your Life Entertaining. So he and I, we're going to be connecting in Orlando in a couple days.
Okay.
And so, we could, obviously it's within a couple hours, so make the trip. But you and I will again get together, and especially now, because otherwise we'll be in the snow of Central Ohio, or whatever the however long, what is it, the groundhog says we have till we have spring.
Oh yeah, we probably got 60 more days or so. I definitely plan on doing, an event. Last year we did a couple of rooftop events at Industrious that were really cool during the summer.
And there's so many new places too that like I haven't even explored, and you're just like, wait, what's that place? Oh, how did that happen? And it's great. And you obviously have to support a lot of them. And at minimum, you're like, hey, you got to eat, so might as well go out and check out some of these cool little venues.
For sure too. And then another thing I'll say about Columbus, it's very interesting. It's like, we produce a lot of talent, right? And a lot of the talent ends up leaving. And that's why I love just even what we're both doing, because it's to me, it's constant. There's, I see so many young people doing incredible things in gaming and social media influencers in the city. So, I'm very excited, where it's going. You got Ohio State getting ready to open that entrepreneurship center. So I think there's a lot of incredible things that are happening. And just tell Kevin I said what's up. I need to reconnect in there. But Derek, it's always great catching up with you. I'm going to give a big shout out to Danny Ortiz. He wasn't able to make it to this one. He's been traveling around, but he said he wanted to say hello to you as well. And I'm going to send it to him. Any close?
Well, maybe we'll get together. Maybe we'll get together in Miami or somewhere else. We got Naples, we got Tampa. There's a bunch of options. Or we could head a little further north. We got Savannah and Charleston coming up. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Keep me posted.
Wherever it's warmer is, I think, this time of year especially. But yeah, wherever we can be, where we can all be together and hang out and just vibe a little bit.
Yeah. And Miami has a very good every Wednesday. There's a tech event at a bar in Wynwood. It's Wynwood's big art district.
Yeah.
So if you come, I really recommend coming on a Wednesday because I'll be able to introduce you to a lot of people.
Totally.
That are doing stuff. But one thing I love about Miami tech scene, it's really connected. There's WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups. Someone bought the Google Sheets.com and it's literally just events every single day, right? Wow. So it's a very, obviously the weather, you want to go outside. So, anytime you come, I'd love to show you around. The community's been very, very warming and receptive to.
I can see, the mayor's done a big call out for folks from Silicon Valley to Austin to kind of come to Miami and make that more or less like a tech hub of the Southeast and maybe even just of the U.S. and the Eastern Seaboard. But there's a lot of stuff and cool stuff going on. I definitely want to collaborate and elevate with you down there if I can.
Oh, you will.
try to sprinkle in the plugs. Yeah.
Yeah, just on a crypto, in my opinion, this is kind of where a lot of this stuff is based. You brought up the mayor. The mayor's getting paid in Bitcoin right now. He does a lot of donations to nonprofits in Bitcoin. There's a lot going on in crypto. I was at the North American Bitcoin Conference, and Mark Cuban was there. And just for anyone listening, Mark Cuban on the stage said, a new internet's getting created, and we're pretty much in 1997. So no one's late, right?
Yeah, Web3, right?
Yeah, we all have time, So
I just, if you won't mind, I just heard a fun fact about crypto the other day. Do you have a minute for it? Quick second.
Yeah.
So so right now, I'm going to mention I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and so I just found out that the first Bitcoin or the first crypto, I think it's Bitcoin, but the first crypto was spent in Jacksonville, and they spent 10,000 Bitcoins on a couple of pizzas, which apparently would be worth 50 million today if they would have held on to it. But there was this big news story, and maybe it was 5 years ago or 10 years or whatever it was. So that's what they told me. So that's the story. I'm sticking to it. A couple of pizzas, but they must have been darn good. I'm sure they hung on to some of that crypto for purposes of future, but that's what they said. The first was spent here in Jacksonville, where I'm at right now. So yeah.
Yeah, and I can see a CYP NFT. I don't know if you thought about that.
Oh, okay.
You could have a community. There's something there.
I got to learn a little bit more about my NFTs, but I'm sure you can help me with that, and we'll talk. See, we got so much to talk about, and only 15 or so minutes to get it all in.
Well, I appreciate you, Derek. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to It's Bigger Than Business. And you all have a great weekend. Take care.